Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our June knowledge sharing session with our amazing barrister Chinaza Okochua, who is our co-host. Sorry, please. I want to get out your bio so that everyone knows who is training us today.
Okay.
And they know the quality of person that is our facilitator. Did you send that to me? No, I didn't get your bio. So I
Did
guess
I?
I don't think you did. So I guess you just introduce yourself as we go through the session. Hello,
Okay.
Adebimpe. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you with us. And so, just a bit of background on why we are having this conversation, and then I'll let Barrister Chinaza take us away, per se. So, why are we having this session? We're having this session because Startup Corner is for business owners that just started their business, if you will. And so we are a community of business owners, and some of us we've started for a couple of, I say, a couple of years or months, and for some of us it's a new thing that we just started. We're still trying to get our head in and know what exactly we want to do. So Startup Corner is your place where you come into a community, and so you're able to network, you're able to learn from people's examples, you're able to learn, and you also have a community of people that you can ask questions. Because one of the issues that being a startup owner is brings up is that many times it's a lonely road. Not many people are traveling the same road at the same speed with you, and sometimes it just feels like you're alone. But having a community of people that you can come to and get some help, I believe it helps us a lot. And so, why Barrister Chinaza today? Barrister Chinaza, she has been my lawyer for, I think, it should be 9 years now, if I remember correctly, about 9 years. And uh, she has helped with some of my difficult issues. And maybe I can say a bit of a story of what happened before I finally went to her. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I spoke with another lawyer who seemed excited about what I wanted to do, and I was excited about her excitement. But it turned out that she did not register the organization I wanted to register under the right well, Barrister Chinaza will give us the right words because I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot give you legal terms. But she didn't register us right. So she put us under the wrong category. And when it was time for us to implement, we found out that it was not as easy as we thought it would be. And so we had difficulty continuing that exercise. And so we had to cancel everything. And so by the time I met Barrister Chinaza, I was coming, would I say, already burnt. And so it was great to meet someone who knew what she was doing, and she also led us in the right path. And 9 years later, I would still recommend her. She has been our lawyer for so long, and she has done a fantastic job. So, without much ado and without saying too much, I'm just going to invite Barrister Chinaza to please come on stream and start her thing. I think we can start with an introduction. I'm going to start sharing your slides now. If that's okay by you. Can I start?
Okay. Yeah, you can start. No need for introduction, right? You're
I
all
think
ready.
you should introduce yourself. It's really helpful.
Okay.
So,
Good evening, everyone. You
good
already know,
evening.
like my sister said, my name is Chinaza. Chinaza Ekpere is my full name. Or you can call me Chinaza. Okotoa, and I'm a lawyer. Well, I was called to the Nigerian bar in 2011. Yes, I was called to the Nigerian bar in 2011, and I have been in active practice since then. And um, well, I have been in active practice since then, and recently I have tried to. I am in the process of, improving myself, like adding value to myself, my career. I I was in corporate law practice and civil litigation generally, everything that is covered under civil litigation, like family law practice, property law, and the rest of them. And then I did criminal law for 1 whole year, and while it was fun, I quickly realized that criminal law is not for me, so I'm done with that. So right now, I am doing my master's degree in privacy and cybersecurity law. Before now, I had obtained my diploma in cybersecurity, and because I am a lawyer and law is what I know, it was I felt it would be. It actually is, now that I am in it, easier for me to focus on the legal aspect of cybersecurity. So, and that's where I hope to channel my efforts and my practice to in the future. That's basically that about me. So, and then I am working towards getting called to the Canadian bar. Then I will be, I will have practice in multiple jurisdictions. So that is something that I'm working towards. So that's basically it about me. And if there is any question or any clarification that anyone needs, I guess that should come at the end of the presentation. So we are going to start now if we are set. Sis, we can start now, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
please.
yes, this lecture today is like we already know. I mean, if you join this meeting, it means you already read that we are talking about the legal considerations for your small business. These are the things that you should, of course, when you want to start a business, there is the business aspect of it where you do your proposals and market survey and assessments and all that. And then there is the legal consideration. So we are going to be focusing on the legal consideration for your small and medium scale business. Not, we are going to touch on the, if you want it to be bigger, but for now we are laser focused on the small and medium scale businesses. So the first thing to think about is the ministries where you need to make registrations when you are thinking of starting your small business. There are so many registrations that are required to be done. We all know about the Corporate Affairs Commission because it's louder, let me put it that way. But apart from the CAC, there are other ministries that you are required to register. Like they say, ignorance of the law is not a defense. So I think that's one of the reasons, that's one of the purpose that um, Sister Denike has decided to gather us and do knowledge sharing so that you would know what you are supposed to do. And if it's something that you need to plan, you plan towards it, but you know that this is what you're supposed to do. So there is the Federal Inland Revenue Services. We all know what they do. They handle everything that has to do with taxes for companies and for personal income. And then there is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, because your business, you are in it to make money. So the EFCC is there to make sure that you are making your money in a clean and a legal manner. And then there is the National Agency for Food and Drugs, that's NAFDAC. If your the business that you are trying to float has anything to do with something you put in your mouth and something you apply on your body, then NAFDAC has to have some sort of control over what you produce and sell. And then there is the Ministry of Industries, Trades and Investments. Of course, your industry, if you are creating a business and an industry, it has to be controlled under this ministry, because then you actually are creating something that is peculiar to you. And the only way that you will let everybody know that this is mine, this is peculiar to me, you have to register it under this ministry. And then there's the Securities and Exchange Commission. There are some sort of businesses that you will want to float, and you need to register with the Securities and Exchange Commission so that they will have an idea of what you are doing and they will put some sort of control. And then there is the NSCDC, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Those people too, they have their own control. The whole idea of these ministries and the controls that they put over small and medium scale businesses is to ensure that there is some sort of accountability in business. And because the federal ministry and the federal government is responsible for the citizens of Nigeria. So these are the things that they have put in place to make sure that they have some sort of control over the businesses that our citizens do, how they make their money, to make sure it's legal, to make sure that no citizen of Nigeria is being defrauded in some way or the other. So next slide. We are going to take these ministries one after the other. So starting with Corporate Affairs Commission that everybody knows, there are different types of businesses that can be registered under the CAC. There is the business names, which you register when you are starting a small business. Maybe you are just starting off and you want to start small, register your business name. One thing with business name is that it's personal to you, right? We'll see it in coming slides. So there is business name, there is limited liability company, which I think when you look at this list, you should know that this is going from small to big. Relatively, because some are equal. It's just that what you have to do here is different from what you have to do here. But let's continue. You will understand what I'm trying to say. Then there is limited partnership. There is limited liability partnership. There is incorporated trustees, and there are companies limited by guarantee. And these incorporated trustees and company limited by guarantee, they share basic similarities, which we will see as we go on. And the next slide, we'll talk about business names. So, like I have mentioned before, business name is useful for small to medium scale enterprises. It is cheaper to register. That's why I said if you are just starting off and you want to register it and be legal, but you don't have the money to make it as big as your mind. Like you want this company to be very big and become a household name. And right now you are just, growing it. You don't have that type of money to make it as big as you want. You start small. You start with business name. It's cheaper to register. And business names does not acquire distinct personality from the proprietors, meaning you can register your business name under your name. In fact, you can register your name as a business name. It's allowed. That's number one. Number two is when you are doing your taxes. If what you have is business name, you do a personal income tax and not a company income tax, right? Then next is that it can be used, you can use it to bid for government contracts, but there is limitation in the capacity of, as in the capacity of the contract you can bid for, right? So if you want to bid for bigger contracts that run into millions, you have to maybe upgrade your business name to a bigger company that has more liability. Then if a sole proprietor dies, automatically the business have died, right? So if your father has registered a business name or your grandfather registered a business name and has been running it as a family business, the advice that I will give as a lawyer is if he wants it to be a family business, he should incorporate his sons and his grandchildren into the business. Not incorporate them until let them come in and be working in the, no, incorporate them legally on paper. Because if anything happens to grandpa and he dies today, legally that business is dissolved. Because even after his death, you can't say, oh, I want to take over the business. Let me go and register. He's already dead. He cannot sign the business over again because he is already what? Dead. So the death of a sole proprietor or the last living partner, let's say it's grandpa and grandma that are partnering in the business, and then grandma dies and then grandpa dies. That's the end of it. Okay. So, and then when you want to dissolve the business, it's usually is relatively easier to dissolve a business name than it is to dissolve the other types of companies. So next slide, we'll go to limited liability companies. So there are two types of limited liability companies. There is the public limited liability companies and there is a private limited liability company. So the public ones are the ones that their shares are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, right? And they trade their shares publicly. So when you hear things like First Bank is trading shares or FCMB is trading shares, it's because they are public limited liability company. They are called PLCs, right? And then the private ones are the ones that are not listed on the stock exchange. I can start my company with, I can start Chinaza as a company, business name, and then after some time, I'll decide to upgrade it from business name to a limited liability company. It will now be Chinaza Limited, right? Eh, but it's still my personal company, and I'm not trading my shares to outsiders because I am not yet all there, right? My earnings or my business capacity has not reached to the extent where I can trade with outsiders. There are a whole lot of pros and cons with trading your shares with outsiders, with the public, and that's not what we are going into right now. But so let's say my own company, I have not reached the level of trading with outsiders, but I want a limited liability company, maybe because I want to get bigger government contract, right? So if I want to trade my share, I can trade it personally with my brother or my sister or a friend who wants to be an angel investor. I will give the person part of my share. So if it's a 1 million share company, I can give them 400 or 300, meaning any profits that the business makes, that percentage that they are holding is for them, right? So that's private limited liability company. Then next slide, it is more expensive to register when you are comparing it to business name. We know being expensive or being cheap is relative, right? So when you compare it with business name, when you are comparing it with business name, it's more expensive to register. Then you file, remember I said business name, you file personal income tax. With companies, you file company income tax, CIT, right? And it has to be paid as at when due to the FIRS, to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. If you don't pay your taxes, then you are in default. Okay. Then it acquires a distinct legal personality from its shareholders. So when you talk about limited liability, each shareholder is limited to the extent of the shares that they have. That their liability is limited to the extent of the shares that they have. Remember, I talked about an angel investor that probably wants to invest in my Chinaza Limited. So if anything happens and the company goes bankrupt, his liability to, maybe if it's a company that offers services and we are owing people, the liability he will have will be limited to that 300,000 shares that he bought from me. and my liability will be bigger if I have the bigger shares. So the same way I will have bigger profit sharing is the same way I will have liability, right? So, and if anything happens and someone wants to sue my limited liability company, my personal properties will not be attached to that lawsuit. Meaning, if the person wins and they are trying to garnish my properties to be able to pay this person, my personal property that is in my own name is not going to be included. But the property that is bought for the company in the name of the company will be included. That's the difference between business name, because business name is you. If anything happens and someone sues you, sues your business name and adds you to the suit, and the person wins, they will go and carry your personal house that you built with your wife or your husband because it belongs to you. That share of that house that is yours, they will take it. Your personal car, they will add it to the suit to, defray the judgment debts. Okay. Then for limited liability company, a general meeting, first of all, you have to hold at least one meeting every year. They call it annual general meeting. And then there are other general meetings, executive, emergency general meeting, there are a lot. And for every decision, a general meeting must be held. So even if we are just two, I cannot wake up, even if we are two people and I have bigger share, I can't wake up and decide this is what I want to do. We must have a meeting before we make any decision. And the meeting must be recorded. You must have minutes of meetings saying what was decided, saying who was in agreement, and then everybody does what? Signs. Like if it's a company that has more people, everybody doesn't need to sign, but you have to write down the names of people who were in attendance in the meeting and the people who agreed to what. And then the director, one director and one secretary sign. So that about limited liability company. Then the next slide, we go to limited partnerships. So basically, a general partner who has unlimited, it's basically a general partner who has unlimited liability and limited partners with liabilities limited to their investment. So this is just like a limited liability company, except that one partner, the major partner, does not have a limited liability. Others are just limited according to the investments that they do. So I think this is like a little bit of an upgrade from for limited liability company. Upgrade not for the owner of the company, but for the people who want to invest in the company, right? So because now let's say you are trying to pool funds together. I have a business idea. The business idea is mine, but you just want to help me and you don't want to be a shareholder, you don't want to be involved in the day-to-day running of the business, we can do limited partnerships. And I will have sole decision making and everything concerning the company, but you will have liabilities and assets to the extent of your investments in my company. That's limited liability. That's limited partnership in a nutshell. So the features of limited partnership, the general partner have unlimited liability, while the limited partners have limited liability, have liabilities limited to their contribution. The general partner typically manage the business, while limited partners have limited involvement. I have said it before. Unlike limited liability partnership, it is limited in the number of partners it can have. So for a limited partnership, we are still going to the limited liability partnership. So we are still in limited partnership. There is you can't have more than 20 partners. So me plus 19 people. So if I need to pool a lot of funds and the amount of money that I need to run this business that is my dream, 20 people cannot handle it, then it means I have to upgrade from limited partnership to limited liability partnership. Next slide. It's best used to pool resources for a shared project. I've said this one before. It offers flexibility in terms of capital structure and profit distribution. I have explained it before too. Limited partnership can be structured to avoid double taxation. So this is important. So one of the good reasons why you can do limited partnership instead of company as a limited liability company is that when the company is being taxed, this limited partnership, when you are paying the taxes, the taxes are done on individual level instead of at the corporate level. So instead of taxing the whole company, they are taxing the individual according to the profits that they made. But if it's a limited liability company, you are paying your personal income tax and you are still paying tax from the company, despite the fact that some of your personal income came from the company. I don't know if we are understanding what I'm trying to say. So now with limited partnership, they are taxing your personal income and then they are taxing the money, the profit that came from your limited partnership, just the money. They are not taxing you as a company and then taxing your personal income, because then it will be like double taxation. So I think that's explains. It means that individuals are taxed using their personal thing and the company income will not be taxed. Okay. Then the next slide, limited liability partnership, LLP. So this is like a little bit of an upgrade from LLP, right? So this company offers liability protection to all its partners, meaning that they are not personally liable for debts or obligation of the partnership. This is unlike limited partnership, where the profits and your liabilities are personal to you. Okay. So the features of this is that every partner have limited liability, meaning their assets, their personal assets are protected from the partnership debts and liabilities. Partners can participate in company management. Remember the other one person, the unlimited partner participates as in is the major manager and the other people are just the money part of the company. This one, the partners can participate in company management and then they can designate partners who will be responsible for different aspects, like to ensure compliance with the law and their agreements, whatever it is they agree during their meetings. And then there is no limit to the number of partners that an LLP can have. So like I said, LP, only 20 people. If the amount of money that I'm needing is not something that 20 people can provide for me, I will upgrade to limited liability partnership. But now you see that there are pros and cons. So you weigh everything. If the cons are things that you can deal with, because you want this bigger amount of money, then it's something to think about and consider before you decide which registration to do. Then the next slide, they say LLPs can attract more investors compared to LP. We said it before. You get more people, you are unlimited in the number of people that can invest in your company. Limited liability partnerships offer flexibility in terms of capital structure and profit distribution. This is a similarity with limited partnership. And then limited liability partnership are subject to company income tax. So now they are taxing the company and not the personal individual. Okay. Then there are incorporated trustees. This is another type of company that you can register. It is used for non-governmental, non-profit organization. So I think this is self-explanatory. So if your organization is a not-for-profit organization and it has nothing to do with the government, you have to register it under incorporated trustees. For example, churches and mosques and social clubs and school alumni and all that, even charities. Yeah, you register them under incorporated trustees. Okay, that's the next point. I've already mentioned it. Then, before you register an incorporated trustee, the Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission must give approval. So before you start the registration, you have to apply to the ROG. When you get the approval, then you can start the registration. If you don't get the approval, of course, normally, if they refuse approval, they will tell you the reason why it's refused. If it's something that can be fixed, you fix it. If it's not something that can be fixed, then you think of something else to do. Okay. Then publication of the name of the organization and their trustees and their aims and objectives must be done in 2 national daily newspapers. So once the RG approves, then approves of the name and your aim and objective and everything, then you have to publish it in 2 daily newspaper. What I did not include here is that it has to be published for 21 days before you start the registration. So you publish it, you sit for 21 days. If nobody comes to object to the name and the aim and objectives, then you are free. But if somebody sees it in newspaper publication and objects to it, then, there is a sit down and a discussion and, decisions are made, right? Even though my personal opinion is that who reads newspapers anymore? That's my personal opinion, but let's keep going. Then there are companies limited by guarantee. So remember I mentioned that these 2 companies, Incorporated Trustees and this one, that they share basic similarities. We are going to get to that later. So now, for Incorporated Trustees, charitable organizations can register under it if they are non-profit. But if the charity organization aims to venture into profit making, they have to register under limited by guarantee. So it's a charitable organization, but they want to, let's say, start a school or start a thrift store where their aim is to make profits. Maybe they will get used clothing or used household items from people who wants to throw it out. And then they bring it in, refurbish it, and sell it for maybe a marginal profit, a tiny profit. There is some profit involved in it. So because of that, they have to register under limited by guarantee, because you cannot make profit if you are not registered for profits. Okay. Then they are prevented from sharing these profits among their members. So members of company limited by guarantee, they are not in it for themselves. That's why it's a charity organization. So maybe they are doing this thing, selling secondhand used household items and clothing, so that they will raise money to support their charity, not raise money for the members of the charity, right? Okay. So then the consent of the Attorney General is a preliminary requirement. Remember the other one, the consent of the Registrar General of CAC is a requirement. This one, the Attorney General of the Federation must consent before you register a company that is limited by guarantee. And unlike incorporated trustees, newspaper publication is not a requirement. So once the Attorney General gives you their consent, you go ahead and do what? Register with CAC. So that consent is part of the documents that you're going to submit to CAC, because they have to be sure that you complied with every requirement. Then similarities, like I said. So both of them are perfect for charitable causes and the promotion of a social agenda. Both of them are exempted from taxation. Remember, we didn't mention anything concerning taxation in both IT and limited by guarantee, because it's a charitable organization. They are not sharing profit among themselves. So they are both exempted from taxation. They both do not have profit sharing formula, goes without saying, because they don't share the profits. And then upon cessation of business, they are required to transfer their business objective and assets to a similar organization or company. So if our charity is to make sure that people who cannot afford it get clothes and household items, and for some reasons, the person that started the charity is no longer working, the person has retired, and there's nobody to take over. So every asset, every liability, if this company limited by guarantee or this IT has bought a building where they put in those household items for people to come and buy, the building belongs to them. They cannot sell that building and share the profit. They have to transfer it to another charity that has similar objectives. So you don't get to keep anything at all from these charities. If you are working in it full time, you can pay salary to yourself, you can pay salary to your workers, but you don't share profits. Then, Federal Inland Revenue Service is another government organization. So we just finished with CAC now, the next one. So FIRS, that is where we pay our taxes. So they do tax, they assign tax identification number to people and companies. So before, it is that when you register your company with CAC, you go to FIRS to go and obtain SIN. It's free of charge, but you have to go in there. But thankfully, now you don't have to go in. Once you finish registering your company, the email will come from FIRS with your SIN number and everything, you know. Then you pay your value added taxes to FIRS too. We will get to the meaning of all these ones in the coming slides. Then you pay your company income tax to FIRS, and your personal income tax, you pay everything. All these one, anything that has to do with tax, you pay it to FIRS. So tax identification number is obtained free of charge from the FIRS. A company automatically gets registered once CAC registration is done, like I said. Then for business names and LPs, that's limited partnerships, personal things are used for tax payment. So if what you did was business name, your business name will not get a thing. You are using your personal CIN to pay the taxes for the business and obtain tax clearance. Next slide. The value added tax, you file it monthly. So every profit-making company is required to file their value added tax, even if it's zero profit. Even if you didn't make any profit for the month, you have to go and tell the FIRS, okay, this month I did not make any profit. If any profit that you make, you go to FIRS and inform them. I have not done this in a while, so I don't know if they have figured a way to do this online. But the last time I was running this for a company, it was so cumbersome because every single month I have to go to FIRS and fill out a form, and it was a lot. It was a lot. So I hope that they have figured out a way that companies can just do this online and they don't have to go and sit in their office for long hours and fill out physical forms and, you know, with all their bottlenecks. Then there's a company income tax. You pay it annually. And before you pay your tax, your books and statement of affairs your book has to be audited and a statement of affairs has to be created. I forgot to mention for CAC, every year you have to file annual returns for CAC. So, and for your CAC annual return, this statement of affairs is a requirement. So when you audit your company books for the year, you create a statement of affairs, you file annual return with the CAC, and then you file your company income tax. Then the company then gets tax clearance, and you get your tax clearance, you file it. If anything happens and they want a company that is a going concern, like you want to bid for a government contract, or you want to take your company internationally, you have to show that I am in good standing with the Nigerian government. And one of the major ways to show that is your tax clearance. Another way is the CAC. Of course, now there is a whole online portal where anybody can log in and be sure that your company is still active. And the only way to keep your company active is to file your annual return every year. Then every asset, liabilities, and transactions are documented because these are the things that you need to file. So, and then after you file, because you file assets and liability, right? So when you are filing and you are saying we bought a printer, we bought an air conditioner, right? You have to keep all those receipts because most times you just write down the things that you bought and file it, and FRS collects it and issues you with your clearance. Once in a while, they randomly pick companies to audit. So if they pick you to audit you, you have to bring all those things that you claimed and show them. So that's why at least you have to preserve all these documents for at least 10 years. And then you can destroy them or whatever. You can scan them and leave them in the cloud or leave them online if you don't want to have the physical document. If it's too cumbersome to store the physical document, you can scan them and leave them online. My personal advice would be to, even if you scan and leave online, please keep the physical copy. Just keep it. Find like a low, what do they call it? A low management filing system, something that you don't have to do too much to, just file it and keep it. Scan is good, but shall keep the physical. That's my personal advice for my personal reasons. You want to know my reason, come and pay my come and pay my legal fee.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
next is next slide. Personal income tax clearance. We've talked about this one, but business names and limited partnerships. And then this one, you have to audit your business books, right? To do that one too. And then you have to document and preserve your transactions. Normally, they wouldn't call for personal income tax audit. It's rare, but it is possible. So if they have any reason to believe that you are running some underground activities, they can call for audits. They are mostly focused on big companies, but it's possible that it can happen to small companies, right? Small business names. So it's better to keep it, better safe than sorry, right? Better have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So next slide is since you're not moving, okay, thank you. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. So where EFCC concerns business, because we all know that EFCC is for catching fraudsters and scammers and the rest of them. But where it concerns businesses is that every company that is registered in Nigeria has to get a certificate from the EFCC before they can run a company account. And the major reason why this is done is to prevent money laundering. So it concerns all type of companies in Nigeria, even if it's a business name, you have to get your certificate. So the arm of the EFCC that deals with business is called the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering. So that's SCUML, SCUML, right? So you go to the EFCC office, you register your business, you already have your CAC documentations and everything. You go there, you register it, you get certificate before you open an account. There are some businesses that are exempted from getting these certificates, and those ones, they get exemptions instead. So whether you are exempted or you are not exempted, you have to go and see the face of the SCUML people. You have to go and behold their lovely faces. Okay. So I've already said all the things on here. Next slide. So then we'll go to NAFDAC. So any company that is set up in Nigeria for the purpose of importation or manufacturing of food, drugs, or other consumable products must be registered with NAFDAC before advertising or even doing business in Nigeria. You can make your samples, you can test it by yourself, you cannot sell it to anybody. You can make your samples and call your friends and families and say, come and test this thing for me and see if it's good enough to sell. You want to make soda, you want to make zobo, you want to make soya milk, soya bean powder. These are the things that you want to make pap and sell it commercially, right? You can make it by yourself, you can share it with your family and friends, but you must not sell it until you get NAFDAC. You must not sell it, you must not advertise it until you get NAFDAC certificate. So it has to do with food, drugs, cosmetics, anything that you put in your mouth or apply to your skin needs to be approved by NAFDAC. So, and then fun fact is when you want to buy a product, especially all these Nigerian made products, and you want to see even products from outside of Nigeria, people who import products, you can check with NAFDAC to see if this product is approved. So many different countries have what they approve, right? You might go to, let's say, the US, and you see, let me give us an example. Now, ordinary products are approved in Canada, but I clearly remember before now, you can only buy it from the US and have them ship it to you. And sometimes even custom people might seize it because Canada did not approve of that product. They said it was too harsh. So each country tries to secure their own citizens. They said this product is too harsh. We are not going to approve it for our citizens, right? So you can travel to the US, you buy it, put it in your luggage and bring it into Canada. That's your business. But it cannot be advertised and sold here. So now before Ordinary could start selling here in Canada, they had to use Canadian specifications to make their products. So that's the same thing with Nigeria. Nigeria has their own level of control that they want to impose on every product. They have what they are looking for. So even when you are importing stuff into Nigeria, you have to do what? Make sure that NAFDAC approves it. Make sure it is up to the level that NAFDAC wants for Nigerians. Okay. And the way to find out if a product is approved, you can either text the registration number on the body of course, when you see NAFDAC approved, you text the registration number to this 38353, and then an SMS will come back telling you this is properly registered or this is not properly registered. You can also do it online with this website down here. Okay. So if you see products in Nigeria that is not NAFDAC registered, if you are using it, you are taking that risk on a personal basis. Okay. So next, to register a product with NAFDAC, just like an overview, you have to complete an application form. You download it online or you go to a physical NAFDAC office and get a copy of it. And then carefully choose the category for your products. Remember, I said it's either food or drug or cosmetics. So choose the category, the proper category for your product. Then when you fill out the form, you gather your required documents, a written application letter, evidence of payments, you pay through Remita. Then evidence of your CAC or trademark registration. If you have registered your CAC and your trademark is with trades and investments, you register it. And then site use agreements. If it's a product that you are manufacturing here in Nigeria, it has to be in a place, not your house, not your residential dwelling. If you are renting the place, if you are buying the place, whatever, you have to show that this place that you are manufacturing this thing, that you rented it for this purpose, and there is an agreement that this is what we are using this space for. So you have to show NAFDAC the site use agreement. Okay. Then when you gather these documents, next slide, you prepare for your facility inspection. So after everything, you submit it, and then they will go through it and then send inspectors to your facility to try and make sure that you are up to the standard, to the industry standard for whatever you are producing. this industry standard for drugs will be different from that for cosmetics, will be different from that for food items, right? So it's better to check the industry regulation, know what their standards are, and make sure that you meet it or surpass it before they come for that inspection. So this one is up to you. Then you have to submit a sample of your products for analysis. After the inspection, if they are sure that the area where you are producing this thing is okay, they will ask for a sample of your product and they are going to do lab analysis. My personal advice is go and run your own lab analysis so that you have an idea what they are going to find, right? So if you run your lab analysis and it's okay, good. If you run it and there are things that needs to be tweaked or reshuffled or rearranged, you do it, make sure it's all done before these people come for inspection or you submit your sample, okay? Then once all these things are done and approved and everything is up to par, they'll give you an approval. You will have your NAFDAC certificates and they will issue a product registration number, which you have to attach to every product that you are selling. That you have NAFDAC, what's the name, certification. That you have NAFDAC approval is not. Is someone asking a question?
No, sorry, we needed to mute her.
Okay. That you have NAFDAC approval is not enough. Your NAFDAC registration number has to be on every product that you put out in the market. It is necessary. So if they catch your product and they are trying to penalize you and you say, but I have the approval, the fact that you didn't put it on your product is already an infraction. So we have to be careful about that. Next slide is the Securities and Exchange Commission. Any company that seeks to offer any capital markets related services must be registered with the SEC and obtain a license before operating in Nigeria. So if your business specializes in raising long-term capital for companies, like if you want to start the business of investment banking, SEC, after registering with CAC, you still have to go and register with SEC before you even start doing any business. Because if you are caught and you are not properly registered, you'll be in trouble. Okay. So then the NSCDC. This is the government agency with the function of protecting lives and properties in conjunction with the Nigerian police force. So if your company is a security guard company, like you want to start a security guard company and employ people and then get contracts to guard banks and residential buildings and offices, that company must be registered with NSCDC before you start operation or doing any business in Nigeria. And NSCDC have their own set of requirements before you register with them. So something to have in mind. I know it's not the kind of company that people, when they think of entrepreneurship, that's not what easily comes to mind, but that is something to know. The next slide, we'll talk about Ministry of Industry, Trades and Investments. That is where you register your trademarks and patents and copyrights. In a nutshell, trademarking is, okay, yeah, I talked about it in the next slide. So trademarking, next slide is done with the aim of securing a company's name and logo. So if I want to, that's why you can't have two Bonvitas. Even if the chocolate powder that I'm making is the same taste, the same texture, the same everything as I can never name it Bonvita. Because Bonvita is already, the name has already been trademarked and the logo has already been trademarked. Okay? There are a lot of things on trademarking, like passing off and everything, but we have to be careful so that the name and the logo that you are choosing for your business is not a name and a logo that another business already has. Then you can do trademarking without registering that name with CAC. There are circumstances where it will actually be advised for you to do this. So let's say you are a company, you are producing mouthwash, and then that same company you are producing toothpaste. Nobody expects you to register your mouthwash with CAC and toothpaste with CAC. Mouthwash and toothpaste, they are related items. Let's say you are producing mouthwash and you are producing makeup, right? So you can't say Colgate foundation or Colgate lipstick. It doesn't make any sense, right? So because it is one company, you can actually register your makeup under that same company that is producing mouthwash. In that situation, you are registering your mouthwash with the trademarks with Ministry of Trade and Investment separately, and then you are registering your makeup separately. And this is because the categories are different. You can't register both of them in the same category. It won't work. Okay. So you might get away with doing both mouthwash and toothpaste because they are related. You might, most likely not, but there is a possibility that someone might overlook and let you do that. But, so nobody expects you to create a company from every little product that you are manufacturing or you are producing. You can put everything under one company. Okay. So even if it has a different name, you can still put it under one company. It's now in your advertisements and in your letting people know. That's what we now determine how, PR and the rest of them. I'm a lawyer, so I might not really be able to advise you on that. But I will tell you that how you advertise your product, how you make your product a household name is very important in this situation. Because if my mouthwash is Colgate, and my makeup is Fenty, and if I don't make it known that it's the same manufacturers that are doing all these things, someone can go and register Fenty with CSD and try to pass it off as if they are me. So now you have to deal with the PR aspects of your productions, the stuff that you manufacture. I think I'm talking too much. So proof of trademark registration is a NAFDAC requirement. I already said that one. Then we talk about patents because I said for Ministry of Trade, and you do trademarks, you do patents, and you do copyrights. So there are two types of copyrights. It's usually not a business. Copyright is for, like, if you are writing a novel or something of that nature. So it's usually not a business. So that's why it's not here. But I will just touch on it very briefly before we leave. This is the last slide. So for patents, companies who have manufacturing and chemical formulations as their objective are advised to patent their formulations. Now, you are not patenting the name. What you do to name and logo is what? Trademarking. If you are talking about patenting, you are talking about your formulation, right? And formulation, when I say formulation, it must not be things that have to do with, anyway, I want to say it mustn't be things that have to do with chemical, but if you did chemistry, even if it's for 1 year like me, you will know that everything has chemical reaction, even cooking, baking, everything is chemical reactions, right? So if the way I make my bread is something that I tried and tinkled with ingredients and realize that this particular method of bread, this bread I'm making is different from every other bread. And I don't want people to start making my bread. I can take that my formulation, that my measurements, and patent it. There are two things you can do. It's either you patent it or you make it a trade secret. That one is a whole other thing on its own. That's not what we are here for. So I will take it and I'll patent it. If I patent my formulations and my measurements, of course, once you put something in patent, it's public. Anyway, everybody can come and look at what you have registered as patent. I can make it in my own home, but I cannot sell it until the time is up. I think it's 20 years. So for the first 20 years, I'm the only one that has the right to bake this type of bread with my formulations and my measurements. And anybody else that does it, I can sue that person. And after 20 years, it's now free for all. Everybody else can join in it. The same thing with shape of phones or shape of, what's the name? Stapler. There is this regular stapler everybody is using, and I'll now come and make a stapler that is shaped like my mouth, a stapler that is shaped like my mouth, and I patent it. I say this is my product. Even if you figure out how to make it, you cannot make and sell it until my patent is over. That is why patenting is important, especially if you have special formulations, if you have special shapes of things that make it easier to use or make it better than every other product out there in the market. So there are three types of patents. Utility patents used for composition and formula, like you are making bread or you are doing makeup or you are doing cosmetics, right? Then there is design patents used for decorative aspects of a product, like the example I gave of my stapler. Or I make, instead of making this type of stapler, I'm making the one that is shaped like a mouse, because the design now, it can easily enter my bag. I can carry it in my hand. Nobody will know what I'm, whatever reason it is that made me want to create this one. I created it, and my shape and everything, I patented it. Patented it, meaning even if you know how, even if you see it and like it, you can't make it and sell it because it's mine, at least for 20 years. So I have that 20 years to make as much money as I want to make out of this, my product. Because after 20 years and extension, if I decide to extend, everybody can start making this type. Okay. Then there is plant patents used for new varieties of plants, like all these genetically modified plants, food products. So if I know, if I learn how to genetically modify a peach that it will not have seeds anymore, I will patent it and I will sell my product for the 20 years that it will take until when it expires. Everybody can now come to the open patents register and see exactly how I did it and start doing it for themselves. So I have that 20 years or extension, if I decide to extend, to make as much money as I want to make out of my products. Okay. So that's it. So different types of patents have different number of years. It depends on the number, the patent that you are doing, for which your patent is protected. After this number of years, it becomes open for everybody else to do what? To copy. So it's you that know how much money you want to make for that number of years. It's you that know how you want to make your business become a household name. That even when other people start making it, they'll be like, if it's not Logi, I'm not buying. All these people are fake. All these people are counter. They will call it fake because you have made that name for yourself. You have become a household name that even they will call it knockoff, even though these people are legit, but everybody will see it as knockoff. So these are the business aspects. Me, I have told you the legal aspects. So at this point, if anybody has any questions, even though we have overshot by 11 minutes, Sister Denike, it's you that know how we are going to do it.
No, it's okay. We're already here. Let's just do it well and finish it, because you know that
Mhm.
to get you is not an easy matter. So let's enjoy this time.
Okay.
I guess we're done with the actual presentation, right?
Yes, we are done. So it's time for questions.
All right. So time for questions and answers. So please, if you have a question, can we please have your hand up, and then I'll call you. We'll probably do question and answer time for about 10 minutes before we come to the end of the meeting. I usually like to break my recording so that the question and answer will be in an